Welcome to Our Energy Matters with Anthony Manna and Dena Marie. Aloha.
Aloha to you too. And here we are. Oh yes, here we are. Episode number 78. Now, what the heck does that mean? People would say to us, well, ever since Dena Marie invited me to be on her radio show, her weekly radio show, Lift Your Spirits, appropriately named, she interviewed me about my book, the book that I'm showing right now, which is Loukas and the Game of Chance. And her spirit, her understanding of the spiritual center of this story, that people would say, oh, come on, it's written for kids. Oh, God, please give me a break here. Okay. Yeah, there's a real spiritual center for my central character who tries to learn how to restore his soul. And so there was a lot of spiritual energy that Dena Marie shared with me about my story. And then I thought, oh, that's kind of nice. And I thought, now, who is this lady? So one thing, Dena Marie, one thing led to another. And she told me about her book, Our Energy Matters. A book, by the way, that has 3 titles, which I will talk about in just a little bit. And so we started a conversation on the phone, and then we said, why don't we try to record this? Because our episodes, each time we explore the practice and the poetics of physical, mental, and spiritual self-care revealed through Dena Marie's intuitive soul search discoveries and prescriptions for living a blessed life and a blessed life, a life anointed by well-being, self-love, healthful connections with others, and enlightened and balanced body, mind, spirit, energy. So each time, and I usually start with reaching out to people around the world. So today I say, Buštaditek, be here now, to our Czechoslovakian viewers and listeners. Buštaditek. I didn't think I'd ever be able to say that.
And that's what we were talking about. Now, be here now. Very good. Before I knew you were going to read that.
Yeah, be here now. That's right. And the fact that you're using the word now to ground you, and I think that's a beautiful thing that came out of our phone conversation. Today, the title is Crystals Empower. So allow me to lead all of you out there to the sanctuary of Dena Marie's book, with 3 prophetic titles. 3 titles, I tell you. Usually we're only allowed 1. The first one, Our Energy Matters. That took me a long time to understand, and I'm still learning. Number 2, The Art of Crystal Reading. And I thought, crystal reading? My gosh, this sounds psychedelic. And then number 3, a title directing seekers to a haven of awareness where soul, mind, heart seekers like me, here's the title, learn how to manifest their heartfelt intentions. And the idea of manifesting an intention has become a mantra, in a sense, for me every day. I try to remember, and I didn't do that today, even though I meditated. I forgot, because I usually say at the end, what is my intention for today? Oh, my intention for today.
Mine is this morning was be here now. We're so in sync, aren't we?
Yeah, be here now is so important. So step over the threshold leading the way to this welcoming refuge, because that's how I look at my relationship with Dena Marie. This domain in her book, illuminated by caretakers, and I see her as a caretaker, inspired and inspiring, with teachings, rituals anointed by her healing grace and genuine heartfelt stories. There's so many stories in her book about healing. They're so uplifting, and testimonies, and hopeful, and testimonies of her seekers, her clients' needs and hopes about heartfelt loss, stuck confusion. That was me today when I talked to you. Darkened memories of abuse and despondency laid bare at this healer's energized, fired up care and concern, cured and curated by the crystals, which she, a steward or a stewardess of celestial arts, has come to draw upon over time with her blessed practice of interpreting. And interpreting, I think the better word here is reading for folks, for her clients, their chosen sparkled stones, the crystals she lays before them, their colors flooding with light, revealing the shapes and textures of her seeker's heart, mind, spirit, and body conditions. Their, I guess I could say too, as I say here, their state of being here and now. You know, where are they in the here and now? So, Dena Marie, I come to you then as an angelic guardian, as I see you, a mentor, a healer, and I call out to you to describe the art of crystal reading. First, go ahead now and enlighten our viewers and listeners with the journey you took to become a crystal reader.
Wow, that's a good one. I invented it. It came down to, I had crystals in my car because I collected them and I'd put them in my ashtray. And then I'd be 3 kids in my Z28 waiting for soccer to be over or somebody to get out of school, and something would happen, so they're late. And then I would try to entertain the kids. I used to do it with color crayons. And they picked their favorite color, and I would say blue means this, pink means that. And then they started picking the rocks. And so I did rock readings with the kids to amuse them in the car. So that came up with like the amethyst for my daughter, who thinks a lot. She's an Aries and leads with her head. My rose quartz daughter, who always has a big heart. And Mikey, my son, baby blue. Every baby blue stone, right? That was his favorite. And he was the baby. So all boy, and my daughter with the pink is all girl. And so that's how it started. And then I started bringing them in the house because I had too many rocks, and put them in a box. And then all the kids would come over and I tell them to pick rocks, and then I read them. And then eventually I learned the chakras. And so I said seven rocks. And so they picked 7 rocks. And then I would tell them what chakras were blocked. And a lot of kids wouldn't have throat chakras, and they'd have a tonsillitis, or they'd have something wrong with their throat. So then I brought the body mind connection in. And then I came up with prescriptions. And so every time somebody had a throat that was blocked and their sore throats and all that stuff was going on, just talking to me helped and telling me about what was going on. And then I came up with the letter writing, where I don't have to know, you can write it and burn it. Yeah. And that's just one example of, like if the heart's missing, self-love. So buy yourself some flowers. That's how simple it was at first for years.
Well, then you see, it became more complicated, because here in the back of your book, on the back cover, is the chakra cheat sheet, where you place crystals on corresponding colors. And so the colors are here, going from the root to the
crown chakra.
That's right. And so what you ask people to do is to choose their crystals, and then you place them on the chart.
And in the olden days, I didn't have a book. So I placed it on the table, and people thought I was a psychic because I didn't have a book for years. And I started doing it in my hypnotherapy, and people thought Dena Marie is a guru or whatever. Like I was so smart. And then my students, because they were graduated clients, wanted to know how I did it. And so then I taught them. But at the end, one of the clients said, Dena, we need a cheat sheet. So Allison, came up with cheat sheet. And one day I was exercising and that popped into my head. Yeah. And that's where that came from.
Well, it's been so important to me because it clarifies, just to take one, the throat chakra, which is important to me, and is the turquoise is the stone. The healthy one is self-expressive, creative, honest, and communicative. The crystals, turquoise and aquamarine. So if I were to choose those crystals and put them and you would put them on that color,
Yep.
and you'd be able to detect to me and interpret for me where I'm at as far as that particular aspect of my life is.
And for a long time, you were missing it. We were working on that quite a bit. And then also, you can have no stones, or you can have too many. So yesterday I read somebody, she had too many stones, and she had a green stone in her heart. And she had issues with the man, and she couldn't talk to him. And she says, well, I'm not with anybody. I don't have a spouse or anything. And I just said, well, what's your relationship with your dad? And then she said, I've never met him. I don't know him. I don't remember him. He passed away in Vietnam. So she's going to write a letter to her dad, and a nice letter saying, Dad, I think of you a lot. I want a sign, like a synchronicity or a little wink from the universe, And so if she starts a conversation with her father, I think something magical is going to happen. And she thought that was a good idea.
Yeah. So it starts happening when the crystals start reading the person, in a sense.
Yeah.
And that when using the word reading, to me, is also the word interpretation, because you're able to, at this point in your life, because you've done this and the colors and the chakras, and so the throat, if I go to the other side, which I like too, because I'm on the left side with the blockages. So with the throat chakra, sore throats, lack of creativity and indecision. Prescription: express yourself through the arts, sing, write only for yourself, and talk to people who will listen. And I mean, it's, it in a way, wouldn't I think that it would be a great idea to teach some of these to children early on, because they could cut a lot of corners.
Well, and if we taught that, if we taught any of that in the schools, you could imagine, we were talking about relationships, how much healthier they'd be. I always had sore throats. I'm a triple Gemini, probably why I have 3 names for my book. Triple Geminis are very creative. They want to talk. They want to be chatty. And I was raised in a house where you did not talk. You did not cry. You did not feel. You didn't talk about your ideas. And so my whole life I had mono and strep throat and all these things. And as soon as I left my house, I didn't have it anymore. I've never had any of those things, except for when I'm around someone I can't talk to. And then I'd get a weird sore throat and I'm like, okay, what is it? Oh, my boss, I want to ask for time off and I'm afraid. There's my sore throat thing. But it's one of those things, like, just ask. All she can do is say no, right? But when you're raised in an environment where you're constantly shut down, disempowered, it's going to branch out into the rest of your life. And the relationships, I have issues with women because my mom was so stoic and unemotional. I always attract those women. And then I have to get the courage, like I said, to ask them for time off or to say I don't want to do something. And it's scary for me, even at 58. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, I can relate to that, because you remember that I was in this expressive arts executive board, and I was laboring over the fact that it was time for me to leave, not because I lost interest, but because I wanted the time not to have to go to all these meetings and these functions, because I want to write. And it all takes away from that creative energy. And so, and I had been with this group for quite a few years. I mean, not forever, but I mean, I was there and I was at their meetings, and I did as much as I possibly could to find, speakers for the conference and all this stuff. And then I just thought, oh, it's going to be so bad if I have to say I'm leaving the board, and I mean, you helped me with that a lot. I mean, the idea was, from what was motivating me to be on the board? Well, at this point, it was guilt, and I can't.
And you're learning self-love too. So you want to write and you want to take your time and use it to do the things you love to do, which is your throat chakra and your heart chakra. And what's the name of the group? A creative.
Oh, it's called lit creative arts.
Creative arts. So it's the universe kind of winking at you to use your throat chakra to love yourself. this is what this whole thing, you and me today, right? We're still learning how to love ourselves. Gosh darn
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, and I mean, I just think that it to me, I have to keep repeating it, you know. And also the other thing is learning to be kind to myself, you know, and I don't have to come from places of guilt. You know, one of the things that I read just about 10 minutes before we met on the phone was the energy of each story, that is, of each crystal story, lingers with its crystals and reveals something about the person who chooses it. And I thought, yeah, that's true. It lingers. It stays with you. You wonder, you know. And then to the last time we met, and you did a reading of me, we took a photograph of that, you know. And it's such a nice treasure to have that, because then I can look at it and say to myself, all right, well, there's some time for me to work here, you know, on that particular condition of my life.
Well, and our gift too is we both are going through the same thing again, like we always do. And then we have each other to talk to, and we listen, and then we try to figure out how we can get through it to, you know, lift our spirits and stuff. But having somebody to have a heart-to-heart conversation, and we do it once a week, it's like, it's the most healing thing to have someone you can talk to, really talk to.
Yeah, no, it's blessed. I just I'm going to I say here, there's a wealth of knowledge on pages 26 and 27 that I want to explore with you over time, you know. And that's where you talk where you're teaching, and you talk about gathering a collection of crystals, and then all of these characteristics mean something specific to me. You're talking about yourself. To really get to know the crystals, it is helpful to carry a crystal book with you and write down their meaning as you buy them. And I thought it all falls into place. You know, it's like you're guided to find these wonderful gems that reveal so much in the process. And so, you know, you talk here about the crystals and their characteristics. And I say here, hoopla, I shout, you took me by the hand and by my spirit and directed me into an enlightening crystal treasure trove. And I think that's a lot of your stories are about that business of leading people into that treasure trove.
And it's a detective. You're a detective. Like, you're wearing yellow. I have some little turquoise going on in blue. And that's the chakra we're always kind of working on, our power chakra, our throat chakra. And so that says something to me. And we have numerology, astrology. You're the Leo. I'm the triple Gemini that, you know, we could have a good party together. And you think of like air and fire, because I'm air, you're fire. That, ooh, is toasty warm. So, you know, it's just, you can paint a picture for somebody. Then you look at the colors that they don't have. And then you can think of too the crystals themselves, rose quartz, loving yourself. Went through a whole week of that, you know, during Valentine's. Love yourself, love yourself. Now maybe I need to write a letter. What do you think? Darn it. And burn it.
Yeah.
I think it is.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about my doing that with my father, who found it, not always, but found it a little bit difficult to accept me because I wasn't what he wanted me to, who he wanted me to be. Mm-hmm. Oh boy. So we must move on. Oh, by the way, I leave the episode with this episode number, what was it again? Number 78, with a brief poem. I think it's a poem. It might just be a verse. I don't know. I wrote to honor a few of Dena Marie's wise alerts. Look up, she says. Look up, she claims, the sparked truth, sensual breeze, rush of sun slants, wonder of crystal enchantment, enchantment of primordial energy. You are enough, and you, all of you are enough in this, the rhapsody of here and now.
Amen.
Amen.
That was beautiful.
Want to move? I should read that to you next week too, or something.
You should read to me next week, and you should type it up, because that was so synchronistic and so beautiful. What just happened? And we do this weekly, but thank you again for being my friend. You definitely lifted my spirits today.
Well, believe me, it's reciprocated. You want to move closer to Dena Marie's wisdom, then listen to her weekly radio show, Lift Your Spirits, 11:50 a.m. KKNW on Friday mornings on the West Coast. Her website is dena-marie.com. And if you go there, it's just talk about a treasure trove. You'll find a lot about how she goes about her healing work, Reiki, the crystals, the chakras, energy, blockages, prescriptions. It's all part of her world. And you'll see a lot of photographs of the island she inhabits on her Facebook page, which is a real treat. And people are always commenting about those photographs because it looks like paradise. Can I fly out there for a weekend? So,
Please.
right. My website for an interview with Dena Marie is anthonymannabooks.com. So if you go to my website's media section for my Podbean podcasts, you'll see a lot of interviews. Dena Marie's among them. And a lot of the time it's writers, authors, poets, etc. Because my website is mostly about leading children to find out about themselves through literacy, reading and writing and writing and reading, and learning so much about the world around them and about themselves. Oh, yes. Okay.
Onward, here we go.
Onward, here we go. Okay, so we'll see each other in a while, and we'll keep praying that we can support one another as best we can.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.